a time and age where comic book-based films and shows are being released like nobody's business. In times like these, one can't help but wonder what happened to all the films that were deemed unworthy to be released. What about the ones that were never even put into production? What if they were released? What if? Well, that was ominous. And welcome to the second episode of What If. I am your host, Joseph Gallion, and with me is Chase Gallion.
Hello, my peeps. What up?
This month we are going to be conversating Spider-Man 4.
Oh boy. Here we go.
Let's just start out. What did you think about the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, Chase?
I personally did not like them as much as the first reboot movie.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
I do not agree with you, but you know. That's just. I really enjoy Spider-Man 1 and 2. I think they're very, very good superhero films. I don't enjoy Spider-Man as much. I know it's bad, but yeah, guilty pleasure, I guess. So yeah, Sam Raimi was originally going to be making a Spider-Man 4, which was going to be by James Vanderbilt, David Lindsay Abari, and Gary Ross. Spider-Man 4 was originally going to be released in May 5th of 2011. The film would have been had the returning characters of Spider-Man, Mary Jane, Kirk Connors, Aunt May, J. Jonah Jameson, Gwen Stacy, and Captain George Stacy. So yeah, Gwen Stacy and Captain George Stacy would have been back for the movie, which is interesting.
Right.
But yeah, new characters and villains would have been the Vulture, Felicia Hardy, and Kirk Connors would have become the Lizard. Of course, everybody who had played a character in the previous film, so like, Tobey Maguire, Kristen Dunst, Dylan Baker, Rosemary Harris, J.K. Simmons, Bryce Dallas Howard, and James Cromwell would have all been back for the movie. I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Hey, you're a little quiet.
Oh.
Yeah, you're a little quiet. But what's interesting is that John Malkovich would have played Adrian Toomes, or the Vulture, and Hathaway would have played Felicia Hardy. Now, sir, can you tell me who Felicia Hardy is?
Nope.
What seriously?
Nope. I'm not gonna tell you.
Black Cat?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I don't want to explain this. This is stupid.
All right. Well, who else did Anne Hathaway play that had a cat motif?
She played Catwoman.
Yes, she did. She played Catwoman in Dark Knight Rises, which
yes.
I think is really weird because she was going to play Black Cat. Well, she was going to play Felicia Hardy in this movie. One of the problems, I think, in this film was that a lot of the people in Sony figured, oh, well, Black Cat is a little too similar to Catwoman, so, yeah, we're gonna make it so she's not Black Cat, she's gonna become the Vultress. What? What?
Yeah.
So, assumedly, if I'm not mistaken, she would have been John Malkovich's, the Vulture. She would have been his daughter?
Correct.
What's the fuck happening? Like, I don't quite understand this. But, let's talk a little bit about the history of Spider-Man 4, sir. But yeah, it was put into production even though it was received poorly from, the fans and critics. But Spider-Man 3's, pretty big box office score convinced Sony that, we should make another movie. Actually, they decided they would also make a 5th and 6th film as well, which would all be directed by Sam Raimi. it was even a possibility that they would be shot back to back, kind of like how they did Pirates of the Caribbean 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, so development began in 2008 with Raimi attached to direct and the core cast of the previous films to return. But in 2009, Raimi dismissed the rumors that all 3 films were being made. He said that only that the 4th film was under development. Sony hired James Vanderbilt in October of 2008 to pen the screenplay, after contacting David Coep, the writer of the first film. The script underwent further revision by playwright David Lindsay Abari. I think I'm saying that right. I'm probably not, though. But yeah, and it was also put into another revision by Gary Ross in October of 2009. Sony also...
Very correct.
What did you say?
I said very correct.
Yes. Sony had hired Vanderbilt to pen scripts for Spider-Man 5 and 6 as well. So, while reading this off the wiki, one of the things that were also very heavily rumored was that there would be other villains like Carnage and Mysterio in the film. Well, Mysterio wasn't really rumored, but well, actually, okay. Let me get into this. It was very heavily rumored that Carnage would be the main villain of the next film, as well as having the other villains in it, like the Vulture, the Vultress, and the Lizard, which that's already 4 villains. Now, it's unknown if they were actually planning on releasing Mysterio in 5 or 6, or Carnage in 5 or 6. We don't know. But the thing is that, let me ask you a question, friend. Do you remember all those beautiful, those beautiful cameos done by Bruce Campbell in the Spider-Man movies, all 3 of them? The first one...
I do not, honestly.
Really? Okay. The first one, he was the announcer that was like, what's your name, kid? The Human Spider. That sucks. Spider-Man! And all that, you know. And then the second one, he was the dude who was hassling Peter Parker outside of the play, wouldn't let him in, because the doors were already closed, and it messes with the illusion, as he said, you know. And
very true.
And then in Spider-Man 3, he was the French waiter.
Yeah.
Who was putting the ring in the glass and everything. Well, one of the heavily rumored possibilities was that it would be revealed that he was actually playing Mysterio this whole time.
That would make a lot of sense.
Would that not have been the greatest thing?
Did they ever acknowledge that fact?
Probably...
That he was in all 3 movies, or what?
They never acknowledged it in the movie, but like, the band...
Well, no, like, the producers, directors, did they ever say anything about that?
Well, I mean, Sam Raimi just wanted him in the movie because, you know, he made the Evil Dead movie with him, and like, you know, like Army of Darkness. But the thing was, like, I don't know if that was actually the thing that they're considering, or if that was just fans being fans, you know?
Right.
I would hope that was the thing somebody was considering. That'd be quite nice.
Yeah. And honestly, they could do it like like what they did with Deadpool, whenever they were considering PG-13 and they actually listened to the fans and made it rated R.
Yeah.
They might have actually heard the conspiracy and was like, huh, wow, that's actually not a bad idea, fans.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Yeah, and of course this was like, you know, early days of the internet, so it would have, well, I say early days, it's been around since like the 80s, but you know what I mean. It wasn't what it is now, you know? So you never know. It's not like something like how they're doing with X-Men Apocalypse, where enough people complained and moan about it, and now Apocalypse looks different, you know?
Right.
Probably wouldn't have worked out that same way, but, you know, fingers crossed it would have if it actually happened. But yeah, moving on. What was I about to say? Right. So, Sam Raimi admitted to being exhausted with the tremendous amount of delegation needed to make the gigantic movies like the Spider-Man films. But however, it ultimately came down to an inability to get together a suitable story that led him to pass on a fourth installment of the blockbuster franchise. So basically, honestly, it was just like he never found a good story for him. Spider-Man was this is actually kind of funny. Am I Ultroning? Oh, crud.
You were, okay. But now you're back, I believe.
Yeah, quoting the wiki real quick, it says, Spider-Man has a sticky situation to crawl out of. As reported by Deadline Hollywood, Spider-Man 4 is caught up in a web of disagreements that'll likely keep it from being released on May 5th, 2011 as planned. Further complicating things, Raimi reportedly went through 4 revisions of the script with different writers and hated it. With so many issues, Sony canceled the film of 2010 in January. Yeah.
Nice.
So, basically, that means they canceled it a year and a half before the reboot.
Yep.
What the mess. That is not enough time to do a dang reboot. A year and a half? What the...
Yeah. And with what time they were given, I think they did a fairly great movie.
Yeah, honestly, like, the amount of time they had and how they kind of just slapped Mark Webb on there, probably because his last name was Webb. It's like, they wound up with a fairly coherent film.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course, the same can't be said about the second one, but, you know.
Yeah, shoo.
Shoo. But yeah, so, like, Chase... Let me ask you a question. Would you want to see the film?
I would have seen it, but I probably wouldn't have liked it at all.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, like, that probably would have... No. Yeah, same here. Honestly, I feel like with the casting that they were doing, that's really good casting that they were pulling. Especially, I was excited to see Dylan Baker as Kurt Connor, Lizard, you know. Because I've seen him for, like, 3 movies now. I don't know if he was in the first one, but at least 2 movies now, you know. And,
right.
But, so it would have been really interesting to see him finally be the Lizard after it would have been built up for so long, you know?
Right, but, yeah. I feel like that's one thing that the reboot didn't do as well. Like, they didn't really set up much. They just kind of threw it in there.
Lizard, here you go. Whoa!
Yeah.
Take it.
Oh, man. You know what? I bet that was probably because they were going to have Kurt Connors as the Lizard in the Spider-Man 4 movie, so they were like, you know what? Let's just do it for the reboot.
Do it for the reboot. But yeah, so... Yeah, that's another thing, like, I wanted to mention. You can tell it's kind of the same thing they did with Batman Triumphant or Unchained, if you will. It's another one of the things like that where they were going to use Scarecrow in the film, but wound up having to reboot, and they used it in the reboot, you know?
Yeah.
So it kind of seems like they were going the same kind of way with the film. Crud. It seems they went the same way as they did that one. Sorry, I just kind of lost my words. Where, you know, they used the Lizard in the reboot as well, which, you know, kind of looked like a Goomba from the Super Mario Bros. Movie, but you know. But you know.
Yeah. It went okay still.
Right? But yeah. Crud Muffins, what was I about to say? Right, so... Okay, Sam Raimi said that he was very unhappy with Spider-Man 3 and that he wanted to make Spider-Man 4 just to end on a very high note. To make it the best Spider-Man of them all. But he couldn't get the script together in time due to his own failings. And he said to Sony, I don't want to make a movie that is less than great. So I think we shouldn't make this picture. Go ahead with your reboot, which you've been planning anyway.
Yeah.
That's depressing.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good idea, though. Just to not waste, you know, any more money and just for it, you know? Whether or not he had a job in it or if someone else was directing.
About that last statement go ahead with your reboot, which you've been planning anyway. It's depressing to me.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean,
they didn't have enough faith in Raimi to get him to make the film, which I guess they were right in thinking that, but, still.
Yeah. And, it really takes a man's man to do that, to just go ahead and basically quit your job and say, you know what, I'm not going to get the directing job on the reboot, so just go ahead and, hey,
Fair.
I'm sure someone out there pronounces it like that. Reboot.
We're going to get the reboot of the new Spider movie. I don't know what kind of accent
Sweden's
was that.
out there.
Like Swedish German.
It's Sweden.
All right.
It's Sweden.
But yeah, so Amy Pascal, the Sony co-chairman, said, thank you for not wasting the studio's money, and I appreciate your candor. And so they left most of them, tried to do what's best for the fans, the good name of Spider-Man, and Sony Studios. Okay,
Obviously not. They didn't give it to Marvel.
That's what's up? Come on. I mean, they had already started the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It was 2010. That means Iron Man 2 was already out. So, what's going on? Which I guess, if you think about it, it's kind of a good thing that Marvel hasn't had all these, big characters, because that means we probably wouldn't have gotten Guardians of the Galaxy, probably wouldn't have gotten Ant-Man yet, they probably still wouldn't have had Doctor Strange or anything like that. Well, maybe Doctor Strange, but probably wouldn't be having Inhumans on TV, Probably be having mutants on TV.
Right. Yeah, I think it's also a really good thing that Marvel has shown. Like, they can take the some of the B-list characters and turn them into just iconic heroes on the screen.
Iron Man was like a C-list character, and now, because of Marvel movies, he's an A-lister. Yeah,
and the fact that, they can do that with, those characters that are lesser known, it baffles you to think about what they could do with the A-list characters.
Which, hey, because of the failed reboot that happened, and as well as the failed sequels to The Amazing Spider-Man 2, we're going to be able to see exactly what they're going to be able to do with those A-listers, sir.
Oh, yeah. And from what we can see in the TV spots and the commercials, it looks like we are going to have a very good Spider-Man in Civil War and in his own solo film. So that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Chase, if you could change reality to make this movie happen, would you do it?
Nope. Crash and burn, Raimi. Crash and burn.
What the heck? Raimi's director, though. Evil Dead?
Well, that says the man who likes the movies, but...
Evil Dead. Evil Dead.
I haven't seen
Evil Dead's Evil Dead 2 Army of Darkness.
I try to stay away from the words evil and dead, but...
Fair.
No, I'm just kidding. I haven't really seen those movies. I've heard good things about them, but...
I haven't seen all of them. I've seen parts of them, but they're pretty good, so...
Oh, okay.
But yeah, wow, there was something else I wanted to say, but I don't really remember what it was. Do you?
Yeah, here, let me just pick my brain for a second.
Okay.
Okay,
yeah,
no,
so
I don't remember.
One of the problems I remember from Spider-Man 4 is that Tobey Maguire demanded that he only had to work weekends.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, he was like a Shia LaBeouf before Shia LaBeouf became Shia LaBeouf. You know?
I don't know. But like he said that he had to work weekends, and it was like from 1 to 3, or 1 to 5, or something like that. So hardly any time to record,
Yeah, no wonder they set it for 2011 and started in 2008.
Yeah. And like, he had to have his kids with him on set, and if they needed him, he would be able to walk off set. That was the rules to him coming back. Guess what? Sony said, okay. Yeah.
I'm all for a family atmosphere, but, a job is a job,
whenever you're having to do other things. Like, I mean, I think he had a wife at the point. I don't know if he still does or not, but, like, I don't know why your wife can't take care of the kids, dude. And then again, I don't know, maybe he was divorced or something at the point, so, I don't know.
Obviously, I mean, you're Spider, so you've got some pocket change going on. So even if you did have to like invest in a nanny or something, it would be, okay, I guess.
Okay, I guess. But yeah, so having anticipated Sam Raimi backing out of the film, Sony planned a backup script for a reboot. The project was taken over by director Mark Webb and was released in theaters on July 3rd, 2012.
Oh, yeah.
The year Avengers came out. I remember theorizing back then, well, dude, the Amazing Spider-Man is totally in the same universe as the Avengers. Man, I used to think it was, honestly. Like, Amazing Spider-Man 2 comes out, they're gonna reveal that it took place right after Avengers, and it's gonna be awesome, dude. And then, yeah, I had my heart broken. Actually, it's kind of a good thing that it didn't take place.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good movie, the second one, so, Alright, is there anything else you really wanna put out there, Chase?
Honestly, not really. I think we've pretty much covered it.
Yeah. So Spider-Man 4 probably would have been a mess of a film, as well as Spider-Man 5, 6. So,
yeah.
the only probably good thing about it would have been Bruce Campbell and Mysterio. And possibly the lizard stuff.
And the lizard.
The lizard. Alright, guys.
And that stuff, too.
If you enjoyed the episode, please like, subscribe, follow wherever you're on. Follow us on Twitter at Heroic Power ENT. Like our Facebook page, Heroic Power Entertainment. And for Heroic Power Entertainment, I am just Gallion.
And I am Chase Gallion.